네, 안녕하세요. 네, 오늘 마지막 세션이네요. 네, 이렇게 늦게까지 참석해 주셔서 감사드립니다. 오늘 제가 마지막 세션을 진행할 건데요. 저희 또 귀한 손님인 저희 엔트로픽에서 매기님 오셨습니다. 둘이 같이 진행할 거고요. 오늘 이 세션은 혁신의 미래를 여는 길, AWS와 엔트로픽, 생성형 AI 경계를 넓히다 세션을 진행할 겁니다. 오늘 이 세션은 저희 AWS에서 생성형 AI에 대한 역량을 보여드릴 거고요. 그리고 엔트로픽의 클로드 모델을 핵심적인 부분들을 말씀드릴 예정이있습니다. 오늘 크게 4가지를 말씀드릴 건데요. 첫 번째 같은 경우는 제가 AWS의 생성형 AI 서비스 및 도구를 말씀드릴 거고요. 두 번째부터 세 번째, 네 번째 같은 경우는 저희 매기님이 말씀드릴 예정이있습니다. 네, 저는 이런 질문을 많이 받습니다. 제가 많은 고객분들 만나고 있는데요. AWS에서 생성형 AI에 대해서 어떤 걸 할 수 있지, 무엇을 할 수 있을지를 많이 질문을 받습니다. 오늘 그거에 대해서 좀 답변을 들어볼게요. 네, 저희가 이제 생성형 AI라고 하게 되면 저희가 여러 가지 관점을 볼 수 있는데요. 사실 저희가 기업을 위한, 기업의 이런 앞에 수식어가 붙게 되면 생성형 AI를 좀 다르게 생각할 수 있을 것 같습니다. 기업형 생성형 AI 같은 경우는 크게 2가지 정도의 목적을 갖고 있는데요. 첫 번째 같은 경우는 저희가 직원분들의 생산성 향상 이런 거에 대한 큰 목적을 갖고 있습니다. 또 하나는 저희가 또 기업에서 고객분들이 많이 계실 텐데요. 고객에 대한 경험을 향상시킬 수 있는 어떤 목적을 갖고 있을 것 같습니다. 그래서 이런 2가지의 유스케이스를 가지고 기업들은 많은 일들을 하고 있죠. 그럼 이런 많은 유스케이스에 대해서 사실 어떻게 만들까? 무엇을 어떻게 할 수 있을지 이런 부분에 대해서 AWS 같은 경우는 이런 생성형 AI 서비스 및 도구를 저희가 제공하고 있습니다. 큰 특징은 저희는 이렇게 3가지 계층으로 저희가 이렇게 말씀드릴 수 있는데요. 첫 번째 계층 같은 경우는 저희가 이런 라지 모델들, FM 모델들 같은 것들이 애플리케이션에 융합이 되어서 이 계층은 특별한 애플리케이션을 제공하고 있습니다. 크게 오늘은 4가지를 제가 말씀드릴 건데요. 빠르게 어떤 기업형 챗봇 같은 걸 만들 수가 있고요. 그 다음에 저희가 개발자분들을 위해서 코드 생성할 수 있는 아마존 큐 디벨로퍼 이런 것도 있고요. 그 다음에 사실 또 BI 같은 서비스들, 기업에서 어떤 데이터를 분석해서 매출 분석한다든지 이런 거 할 수 있는데요. 자연어를 통해서 차트를 생성한다든지 그 다음에 인사이트 보고서를 만든다든지 이렇게 할 수 있는 아마존 큐인 퀵사이트가 있습니다. 그리고 저희 기업에서 콜센터 같은 곳에서 저희가 상담원들을 지원할 수 있는 저희가 생성형 AI 지원 툴인 아마존 큐인 커넥트 같은 서비스도 있습니다. 이렇게 첫 번째 계층을 말씀드릴 수 있을 것 같고요. 두 번째 같은 계층은 사실상 오늘의 메인 어떤 주제입니다. 저희가 이제 기업에서 애플리케이션을 만드실 때 어떤 여러 가지 도구가 필요한데요. 베드락 같은 툴이 하나의 플랫폼을 볼 수 있을 것 같습니다. 저희가 LLM 모델, 파운데이션 모델 이런 부분들을 통해서 사실 여러 가지 것들을 저희가 융합을 해서 애플리케이션을 만들게 되는데요. 베드락 플랫폼 같은 경우는 저희가 최상의 어떤 여러 가지 모델들, 그래서 엔트로픽의 클로드 모델이라든지 라마 모델들 여러 가지 모델들이 있습니다. 이런 모델과 함께 저희가 기업에서 실질적으로 온프레미스에서 파인튜닝해서 모델을 만든다든지 세이지메이커도 모델을 만들게 되면 그 모델들을 저희가 베드락으로 임포트 이렇게 가져와서 이 동일한 API를 써서 단순화시키면서 애플리케이션을 만들 수가 있습니다. 이런 부분도 있고요. 또한 저희가 모델을 보게 되면 여러 모델들의 어떤 차이점을 저희가 궁금해하고 평가하고 싶습니다. 이런 부분들에 대한 모델 이밸리에이션 부분도 있고요. 또한 저희가 기업의 어떤 업무를 자동화하시는 부분도 있는데요. 예를 들어서 저희가 항공권 구매 아니면 간단하게 회사에 쓸 수 있는 회의실 예약해줘 이런 식의 업무들을 자동화할 수 있는 에이전트 같은 부분도 있고요. 또한 저희가 이제 기업형 챗봇을 통해서 어떤 정보를 검색할 수 있게 빠르게 구축할 수 있는 날리지 베이스 이런 것도 있습니다. 또한 저희가 이런 FM 모델 쓰게 되면 저희가 입력과 출력 같은 부분들에 대해서 유예하거나 이런 부분들을 제어하고 싶은데요. 그런 수준들을 저희가 조절할 수 있는 가드레일 같은 세이프 가드가 있습니다. 이런 식으로 사실상 베드락 플랫폼 같은 경우는요. 빠르게 저희가 시장에 진입하기 위해서 복잡성을 낮추고 있고요. 또한 이렇게 해서 저희가 시장에 빠르게 애플리케이션을 만들어서 고객한테 서비스할 수 있는 플랫폼이라고 보시면 될 것 같습니다. 마지막 세 번째 계층 같은 경우는요. 기업에서 사실상 조금 더 강력한 제어와 유연성을 가지고 이런 ML 엔지니어라든지 데이터 과학자분들이 뭔가 실제 모델을 만들고 싶어 하실 것 같아요. 그래서 기업의 데이터를 가지고 모델을 만들게 되고 그 모델을 가지고 실제적으로 서빙을 해서 이제 인퍼런스를 한다든지 이런 걸 하고 싶을 수 있는데요. 그러기 위한 계층을 보시면 될 것 같습니다. 그래서 저희 같은 경우는 저희가 H백이라든지 뭐 AWS 같은 엔비디아의 이런 GPU를 기반으로 한 EC2 같은 서비스들이 있고요. 또한 저희가 파운데이션 모델 같은 부분들을 만들고 학습하고 이런 인퍼런스하게 되는 아마존 세이지와 같은 관련 도구가 있습니다. 또한 AWS 같은 경우는 한 6년 정도, 7년 정도 이렇게 일찍 시작을 해서 저희가 이런 AWS 자체에 저희가 실력권 칩을 만들었는데요. 훈련에 최적화된 트레이닝이라든지 그다음에 추론에 최적화된 인퍼런시아 이런 칩들이 있고요. 또 이런 하드웨어 칩들을 구동시키기 위한 개발자 툴킷인 AWS 뉴런이 있습니다. 이런 서비스들이 실질적으로 여러분들이 직접 뭔가 만들고 이렇게 추론하기 위한 계층이 로우 레벨 단에서 제공하고 있다고 보면 되겠습니다. 베드락은 저희가 이렇게 또 얘기합니다. 베드락을 쓰면 뭐가 좋지? 이렇게 생각할 수 있는데요. 저희는 베드락을 통해서 여러분들이 크게 4가지 정도를 단순화시켰다고 말씀드리거든요. 첫 번째 같은 경우는 모델 선택입니다. 그래서 여러 가지 모델들이 있는데요. 그 모델들에 대해서 실질적으로 단순한 API 하나를 가지고 여러 모델을 쓸 수 있는 부분들이 단순화시켰고요. 두 번째 같은 경우는 모델 맞춤화인데요. 여러분들 도메인 데이터를 가지고 실제 파인튜닝 할 수 있는 부분들이 쉽게 되어 있다 보시면 될 것 같습니다. 세 번째 같은 경우는 애플리케이션 통합인데요. 사실 저희가 베드락에 있는 서비스뿐만 아니라 AWS에 있는 여러 가지 서비스들, 데이터가 저장되어 있는 S3라든지 데이터베이스 오로라, 레드시프트 이런 서비스 같이 이용할 수 있고요. 또 랭체인 같은 코드를 실행할 수 있는 람다 이런 부분들, 그다음에 파이프라인 연결할 수 있는 스텝 펑션 이런 것들 유기적으로 통합해서 그냥 간단하게 애플리케이션 통합을 할 수 있는 데 도움을 줄 수 있다 말씀드릴 수 있을 것 같습니다. 마지막 보안인데요. 보안 같은 경우는 실제적으로 저희가 베드락 접속할 때 처음부터 끝까지 되게 중요한데요. 처음부터 전송되고 답변을 받을 때까지 모든 암호화가 되고 있고요. 또한 이런 점이 중요한데요. 누가 이런 모델에 접근을 할 수 있을지, 그러니까 어떠한 모델에 누가 접속을 허용하게 할지 안 하게 할지 이런 부분들을 할 수 있는 IAM 서비스들 이런 부분들이 전체적인 보안에 되게 중요한 영향을 보시면 될 것 같습니다. 저희는 지금 한 7개의 모델 제공회사가 한 29개의 모델을 제공하고 있습니다. 굉장히 최상위권의 모델을 제공하고 있고요. 앞으로도 지속적으로 계속 많이 만들고 저희가 업데이트할 예정이 있습니다. 이제부터는 제가 아마존과 엔트로픽에 대해서 이렇게 오늘도 그렇고 미래를 위해서 생성형 AI에 대한 협업을 하고 있는데요. 이제부터는 매기님을 모시고 엔트로픽의 스토리를 들어보도록 하겠습니다. 매기님을 힘차게 박수로 환영했으면 좋겠습니다. Maggie, please come to stage.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maggie Vo, and I'm Anthropic's Head of Technical Education. I'm really excited and thrilled to be here today to tell you more about Anthropic and Claude, our family of frontier language models, as well as a little bit about our relationship and partnership with AWS and how we help customers now and can help you find success with AI. Anthropic is an AI safety research lab. We focus on creating safe and steerable AI systems that is optimized towards enterprise, developers, and highly regulated industries. Our mission is to strive to steer the future of AI so that it's safe and beneficial to humanity. Our founders come from OpenAI, where they led foundational research projects that make up the bedrock of how we work with AI today and modern AI science. One of their major projects was to lead the revolutionary GPT-3 research, as well as research into scaling laws, which informs so much of how we think about the future of AI and how AI models will grow. But they left OpenAI because they wanted to found an AI company, an AI research lab, that was focused on safety from the ground up. Anthropic is only 3 years old. And in those 3 years, we've only been a product company for one of those years. About 1 year ago, we released Claude 1. And since then, in the past year, we've released Claude 2, Claude 2.1, and now Claude 3, which is our much beloved family of models that is leading the frontier of AI. I'll tell you more about Claude 3 and its capabilities soon enough. You can see that Anthropic's pace of innovation is rapid. But our partnership with AWS allows us to help customers keep pace and to grow their companies and evolve their use of AI as we evolve our models. At Anthropic, we believe there's no one-size-fits-all model for enterprise AI use cases. Different use cases vary in their model requirements. So for example, you can have a basic chatbot where the requirements are very low latency, but you may not need the frontier intelligence of the very smartest models. On the other hand, you can have analytical use cases, like models that help with PhD-level academic research. And for that, you might require the most intelligent, most capable models, and you might not mind that it takes a few seconds for the model to respond. It's really important to understand this curve because it's important that companies pick the right model that fulfills all your requirements in terms of skill, speed, latency, so on, while still being as cost-effective as possible. As models get smarter, they'll become more expensive, and so finding this balance is very important. That's why when we released Claude 3, we released a family of models along this very same spectrum, allowing customers to dial in on exactly the right balance of speed, intelligence, and cost that works for them. We have Claude Haiku, which is our smallest, fastest, cheapest model. It's blazingly fast. It can process about 35,000 words in under 2 seconds. 35,000 words. On the other hand, you have Claude Opus, which is our powerhouse, state-of-the-art in many ways, at the very frontier of model capability and intelligence. The whole Claude 3 family has vast improvements from the previous generation. Claude 3 overall is much faster, allowing you to process a lot more information at scale. Claude 3 is also far more steerable, means it's easier to use out of the box. You're able to take your prompts from other models and just drop them into Claude, and generally have them work with very minimal, if any, prompt optimization. This steerability allows you to get much higher quality outputs, with much less time spent prompt engineering. Claude 3 is also much more accurate and trustworthy. We strive all the time with each generation to drive the rate of hallucination to 0. But furthermore, we want to make sure that our whole context window, 200,000 tokens, is able to be used effectively. And Claude 3, especially Claude 3 Opus, is able to have near perfect recall across all the 200,000 token context window. And we're also going to be soon releasing new citation features that will allow you to see exactly what sentence and where Claude is drawing its information from in the context window in order to produce its answer. And then lastly, but I think most excitingly, is that Claude 3, all 3 models in this family, have fast and capable state-of-the-art vision capabilities. This means that Claude is now able to work with both images and with text. This unlocks a huge variety of use cases. Some studies show that up to 50% of enterprise data is stored and encoded as images, as charts, diagrams, slides, technical diagrams, and so on. Now with vision, especially vision that we have trained on enterprise-type images and enterprise use cases, we're able to unlock a much greater variety of workflows. For example, analyzing data that is extracted from documents and charts, or analyzing images for insurance use cases, transcribing handwritten notes, like doctor's notes. The very last thing is that we've trained Claude 3, especially Claude Opus, our very smartest model, to be able to be much better at agentic workflows. Agentic workflows and agentic capabilities is this new area of AI capability that we believe is going to be increasingly transformative for businesses in the future. It allows for the automation of end-to-end workflows and processes. This means that you're able to trust a model to execute tasks on your behalf, do analysis, and figure out what needs to get done, and then do it. This is very hard to get right. This is because for agentic workflows, you need both a very high level of accuracy from the model, high performance, as well as a high level of safety and trust. You have to have very high standard to know that you can trust the model to take actions on your behalf. These are two areas that Anthropic leads the industry in terms of research and development. Claude 3 Opus, especially, is highly intelligent and is able to make judgments, take actions, use tools that you've given it in order to execute a given task. In fact, it's able to orchestrate other models, to instruct them in parallel, multiple copies of other models, to do tasks so that you can have a much more efficient workflow with parallelization of multiple models. In general, this is especially useful for multi-step workflows that have a wide variety of operations, because you can have all of this happen with just a single prompt from the user. We expect that agents will become much more powerful and capable and valuable to businesses going forward. So with all that being said, what can you actually do with Claude? Claude has been trained as a multifaceted, generalized large language model. This means that its capabilities range across a wide variety of industries and skills. Especially now, with multimodal and vision capabilities, Claude is better than ever at dialogue and roleplay, summarization and Q&A, especially of charts and graphs and images. Claude is also fluent in over 200 languages, with its skill in each language proportional to how well-resourced that language is. Furthermore, Claude is able to write queries and query databases on your behalf, retrieve information to analyze, as well as write code. Code is actually one of Claude 3's greatest capabilities. Claude is able to not only generate new code, but it can comment on your code, it can help optimize your code, it can even help you update legacy code to new systems. Claude's also proficient in classification, in text and content generation, as well as in moderation use cases. All that is only usable if you can trust Claude. Anthropic has always prided itself in how much we focus on safety. Safety has many pillars. One of those pillars is jailbreak resistance. Another pillar is reduction of hallucination rates, and so on. Anthropic has always been a consistent leader in all of these areas, particularly in jailbreak resistance. Here is a study that was done earlier this year by independent researchers who found that our models were 10% less able to be jailbroken. Sorry, 10 times less able to be jailbroken. The competition has over a 90% success rate in being able to have them output harmful text or harmful content, such as hate, violent speech, illegal, fraudulent outputs, and so on. Whereas our models have near zero success rate in terms of the ability to be jailbroken to produce harmful outputs. We've managed to achieve this in a variety of training methods, one of which is Constitutional AI. This is a novel training method that we came up with last year, which allows us to train models using other models. It allows us to use synthetic data to have AI models trained on a specific set of principles in a constitution that codifies human ethics and values in order to train models at scale in combination with human feedback. This is particularly important going forward. As AI model training runs grow longer, models get bigger, we can scale this process effectively to match that. And this also produces much more consistent, improved outputs that are much more aligned with human ethics and values. So with all that being said, there are so many ways that customers now have already been able to find success in integrating Claude into their workflows. All over the world, customers use Claude in a wide variety of industries. For example, Pfizer, which is a world-renowned biopharmaceutical company, is able to use Claude on Amazon Bedrock to help aid in the drug discovery process for oncology, which helps bring solutions to patients faster. They use Claude in retrieval augmented generation workflows to draw on scientific information, large amounts of scientific data, to analyze that information for trends, and then to create, generate, and analyze new methodologies and new oncology targets in order to speed up their drug discovery process. This has resulted in a much higher probability for success when it comes to their drug discovery pipeline. In a completely different industry, Lonely Planet has been using Claude and its multimodal capabilities, its vision capabilities, in order to analyze their vast repositories of proprietary data, in order to use that information, the charts there, the maps, the graphs, images, and so on, in order to create bespoke itineraries and trip plans for their customers. And this has resulted in an 80% reduction in costs. 80% reduction for their trip generation workflow. And then in yet another entirely unrelated industry, we have code. Coding, as I mentioned, is one of Claude's greatest strengths, Claude 3's greatest strengths. And SourceGraph is using Claude to power their coding assistant named Cody, which helps answer users' questions about code, both general questions and questions about their specific code base and repositories. Claude is also used to help generate new code that uses the context of that repository in order to make sense and fit within their database. This has resulted in over 150,000 lines of code generated for SourceGraph's customers every single day. We're also working with companies right now, key customers, right here in South Korea. As Nirav Kingsland mentioned earlier today in the keynote, we're working closely with SK Telecom in order to combine Claude's power with telco domain knowledge so that Claude can be even more effective at helping telcos with tasks such as customer service, sales, marketing, and even more. So now we come to my very favorite part of the session. This is where I get to show you some examples of what Claude can do. I'm going to start simple. I'm going to start with some prompts that are just a few sentences long at most, just to show you that with just very little prompting, you can get Claude to already do so much. My first example is one where we've given Claude a whiteboard, an image of a whiteboard, with very looping cursive script that's slanted, sometimes hard to read with a naked eye. The whiteboard itself is also very reflective. This is tricky for large language models. I've asked it to transcribe this whiteboard into a JSON structure. In fact, we haven't even given it a JSON structure to work with. We've asked it instead to come up with one that makes sense, given the whiteboard's data architecture. Claude is not only able to transcribe the text perfectly, down to which letters are capitalized, but it's also able to create a JSON schema that makes sense, an information architecture that matches what's on the whiteboard, that splits the table, and so on. Another example, I dropped several Python scripts into Claude as an image of my code. Now, before, with previous models, you had to copy and paste your code into a model in order to get it to understand what's happening. But with vision capabilities, Claude is able to read this code from just a screenshot. And with a simple prompt to write some unit tests for these functions, Claude is able to read what these Python scripts say, understand what they do, and then write unit tests on my behalf using Python's unit test module. If you pivot a little away from code into more retail and consumer use cases, here's one where we give Claude an image of a shoe and a purposefully incorrect JSON schema. The details here are wrong. And I'm asking Claude to correct me based on what it can see in the image, as well as to give me some rationale as to why it came to that conclusion. And from just looking at this image, Claude is able to extract the right colors, the right brand, even the right purpose of the shoe, and tell me why it's based on the rugged sole type of the shoe, that it thinks this is meant for trail running, which it is. But we can push this further. I've asked Claude in the next example to tell me everything it can from this image, every little detail that it can confidently infer. And you can see that the chart gets a lot longer. Not only are there, of course, the colors, the brand, and so on, but there are features, stylistic details, materials like the outsole and what that's made of, or the fact that there's reflective lining, the fact there's stability support in the sole. And these are all things that Claude can tell from just looking at the image. However, our API can take up to 20 images per request. And this opens up a whole world of use cases where you're able to pass Claude multiple images at once. Claude is able to understand them not even as just individual images, but in relation to each other, like PowerPoint slides in sequence or images in comparison. So here's a simple example where I gave it a picture of two shoes, two different brands, etc. And I'm asking you to just create a simple table for me to compare these two shoes. And Claude is able to discern quite a few different differences, like the brand and the colors and certain features. And Claude is able to also output this information in a neat little table so that you can easily understand the information as well as extract the information if necessary in order to power other parts of your workflow. But all this has been pretty simple. One sentence, a few sentences of prompting. So what does it mean to push to the frontier of Claude's capabilities? Well, I mentioned earlier agentic workflows, right? And how Claude can not only take actions and make judgments, but Claude can also call on other models and orchestrate them in parallel in order to have workflows that are optimized and efficient. So this demo I'm going to play for you in a second is a demo where Claude Opus orchestrates in parallel 100 copies of Claude Haiku to search the web on its behalf, to find snippets of code, to extract and analyze information so that Opus can present that to the user. So let's take a look.
One of the newest exciting features of the Claude 3 model family is tool use, also known as function calling. Tools that Claude can use are represented by a JSON schema that tells the model about the capabilities of the tool and the arguments it accepts. During generation, the model can make a call to any of its tools, which the client can then dispatch and return the results. For example, this Haiku model, which is our fastest and most affordable model, has access to a fetch web page tool and a sandboxed Python REPL tool, so it can retrieve information from the internet and run code. We're going to use it to retrieve an implementation of Quicksort, one of the most popular sorting algorithms, and check how fast it runs on a sample input. Now, because Haiku is pretty fast, I've actually slowed down this demo by 5x so that we can see the tokens being generated. You can see that Haiku is able to link together several different tools to accomplish a task. Now, things get even more interesting when models can call other models as tools. For example, let's say I want to find the fastest implementation of Quicksort online. Here, I'm asking Opus, our most advanced model, to find 100 permissively licensed Quicksort implementations on GitHub. Then, 100 Haiku models write tests to determine how fast each implementation is, and then we'll be able to determine which is the quickest Quicksort. While we let this run, here's how it works under the hood. We've given Opus a dispatch subagents tool to parallelize this work, where it can write a prompt template and provide a list of arguments. The Haiku subagents each get the template filled in with their respective argument. Then all of the answers get returned to Opus, which returns the fastest implementation. And here we see that the fastest result is available here. And it has some additional optimizations that some of the other implementations don't have. Tool use with subagents is a great way to combine the intelligence of Opus and the speed and affordability of Haiku to take action on large amounts of information at scale. Hope you try it out soon.
So, I think that's pretty cool. And furthermore, it's really cool that that had to be slowed down by 5 times because Haiku is just too fast to show you on screen. Agentic workflows, as I said, will become more and more important going forward, more powerful and more integrated into enterprise workflows. This is only the beginning. And with that, I want to talk a little bit about Anthropic's unique partnership with AWS and how we work together to bring customers success and how we can help you build and grow with AI. Using Claude on Bedrock is incredibly easy. You can get started using Claude right in Bedrock's secure environment. on AWS, where you already have your data, and where you already trust the cloud security. Because we work so closely together, we also have unified billing, so you don't have to get billed from both sides. We also have a unified support team. So when you work with AWS, you're also working with us. You get support from both Anthropic and AWS without having to work with both companies separately. As I mentioned, Claude 3 is easier than ever to steer, to try. You can drag and drop your prompts right in, give it a go. And with very minimal prompt optimization, sometimes no prompt optimization at all, you can get Claude working for you at comparable quality, sometimes even better. Anthropic and AWS together also offer credits to encourage users to try out Claude and see what you think. Coming soon, we're also going to provide the ability to fine-tune Claude 3 models directly on Bedrock. We offer Claude 3 fine-tuning nowhere else right now. So with Claude on Bedrock, we make it easy for you. We make it easy for you to try Claude. We make it easy for you to switch to Claude. And we make it easy for you to scale and to customize Claude for exactly the use cases you need. Now, the AI technology in general is under very heavy scrutiny. And understandably, our customers are risk averse. Now, we're all familiar with AWS's cloud security. They are a leader when it comes to their cloud security infrastructure. But Anthropic is also a leader when it comes to safety and security in the AI industry, both in terms of our data governance policies, as well as how we train our models. One thing I want to emphasize is that we never train on customer data. Our models will never see customer data, and will never use it in order to optimize and improve. Also, all the data that you send to and from the model is encrypted every step of the way, which means you can trust that your data is being safely handled. And when it comes to model training, I know I've mentioned this a few times, but it's worth repeating. We care a lot about the pillars of safety. We lead when it comes to making sure that our models are resistant to jailbreaks, are low in hallucinations. And time again, numerous independent studies and leaderboards have confirmed this, that our models are particularly less likely to produce toxic outputs, to also produce misleading outputs, and also in general, just less likely to produce embarrassing outputs. Risk when it comes to using AI is not just about financial risk or data risk. It's also about brand risk and reputational risk. I'm sure we've heard all the stories of people trying chatbots and having them output something that's embarrassing to the company that builds that chatbot. And so with Anthropic, we strive very hard to make sure you can trust the chatbots you're using, to trust Claude in your workflows, which is only going to become more and more important as these models become more powerful and more integrated. And so with that, as we end this, I want to emphasize again that we're here to help you learn more. We're here to help you get started and to grow your POCs to full production use cases so that you can find success and grow with AI as we also evolve our models with you. We're here to help you every step of the way. Thank you so much. 감사합니다. And please fill out this survey. Your feedback is a gift to us and is vital in helping us understand how we can best help you. Please fill out the survey if you get the chance, And thank you again so much for coming. I hope you have a wonderful day.